Hi there, we're here with Josh Stanning from Jayne's Gourmet Catering, and Josh is going to walk us through how to make a meringue. Okay, Josh, so explain to me what the first step of making the meringue is.
So I have egg whites in the bowl, and I just added my sugar. So I'm going to just beat this until we get stiff peaks. So I'm beating air into it, kind of stiffen it up and increase the volume. So
and how much sugar?
10 tablespoons for the 6 egg whites for this particular recipe. Checking how close I am to finishing up, and you can tell it's not quite there because my peak kind of tipped over.
Okay.
At the top.
So it has to be standing.
So if it stands straight up, then you know you got stiff peaks.
Okay.
Which is what we're looking for that. So this is pretty much. It has a little bit more structure to it now, so you can tell it's done. I've added the vanilla to it, and now we're ready to fold in our almonds and our sugar. So my egg whites are all whipped up. Now I have my ground almonds and icing sugar. I'm gonna add it.
So how much of each? How much ground almonds? And
I have a cup and a third of ground almonds, and then 3 cups of icing sugar. And these have been processed in a food processor and then sifted to take out any lumps. So we're just gonna add half at a time. That's about half.
And you were saying that meringues are really time sensitive. But how long does it take to make one batch of meringues?
One batch of these macaroons. Well, for the meringue itself, it's not too bad. But when you start adding the almond flour and making the macaroon, then it's a little more time sensitive. So the mixing, this will only take a few minutes, but then they have to dry for about a half an hour, and then the baking time is about 45 minutes as well. So this first half is all mixed in. The second half.
So how many meringues will this make?
This will make about 60, which is only 30 cookies because they have a top and bottom.
Wow. And so what's the middle filling going to be?
I made up a little white chocolate and raspberry ganache. So it'll be we'll make the actual cookie a little pink as well. So it'll look nice for Valentine's Day.
So how do you make a ganache? That sounds a little challenging.
It sounds challenging, but it's actually very simple. You, depending on how thick or how heavy you want your ganache, you go less or more with the cream. All you have to do is bring cream to a boil and then pour it over chocolate. Let it sit for a minute and then stir it together. And so the chocolate and the cream become one. Then you let it, you stick it in the fridge overnight, and then the next day you take it out and then you can whip it, and then you have your ganache icing. So the mixture's now ready. It kind of flows slowly off the spatula and it's all together and kind of looking the same. Now I'll add a little bit of...
So is this food coloring?
Just a little bit of food coloring.
So this looks thicker than the food coloring that you buy in the grocery store.
Yeah, it's a little bit more industrial, a little more concentrated.
Okay.
So just a little bit and you can really get a vibrant color.
And would this work if you just used the liquid food coloring?
So there's just very little in there. And I don't want the whole thing to be pink. So I'm just going to fold it in. And kind of get a swirl effect.
Oh, I see. That's neat.
This is kind of a two-person job, if you don't mind holding this while I pour the batter in.
So if you don't have one of these piping bags, could you just use a Ziploc bag?
Yeah, I would just put it in a Ziploc bag, and then you can cut one corner out of it once you fill it all up. So you want to get them all the same shape. That way when you sandwich them together, you don't have a bigger bottom and a smaller top.
So on here, and when I come and take a look at this, on here we have wax paper that has been pre-drawn.
Yeah, I drew circles on them just earlier this morning. Then I kind of flipped it over so the pen is on the bottom so I can just see through.
Okay, that's a neat idea.
Just put a little bit in the middle, not all the way to the edge because it'll kind of flow out and form its own circle.
So does the meringue spread out as you bake it?
Yeah. As you bake it, it'll hold the same shape, but as it kind of dries out, it will spread to the full circle.
So how long do you bake it for normally?
I'll bake this for about 20 minutes, and then I'll take it out of the oven. I'll lower the temperature of the oven, and then I'll put them back in so they dry out a little bit. So here's some that I made earlier. You can tell they're done. They have a nice crust to it, and you can see there's a little bit of what they call the pied, or the foot.
Okay.
quarters on the bottom.
So is there filling in here right now?
No, not yet. So what you would do is then you would take two, kind of put filling on one side and sandwich them together. And it's a sandwich cookie.
Okay. So, and what do you have sprinkled on top?
So this is a vanilla macaroon with cocoa puff.
Great.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Well, you've got a lot of work to do, so
Thanks.
I'll let you go, and
Thank
thanks
you
for
very
your
much.
help today.
Oh, no.